Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new video. Today's lesson is about neurons, which are the basis of the nervous system, the basic unit of the nervous system. We're going to learn about their structure and their types. Let's first recall the structure of the nervous system. We said that the nervous system of vertebrates, like humans, is made of the central nervous system, which is made of the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which is made of nerves. Now, let's take the spinal cord and study its structure. If we look at the spinal cord, here's a picture, a real image of the spinal cord, which is protected by the vertebra and the vertebral column. We notice that it's like a tube. Okay, if we make a cross section of the spinal cord, we see that it has this structure, and inside it there is something like a butterfly, a butterfly shaped structure. We're going to learn what are the parts of the spinal cord. First of all, this is a cross section seen under the microscope. We see that this is the posterior side, or the dorsal side of the spinal cord, or the back side, and this is the anterior or ventral side of the spinal cord. Here's the butterfly structure here, and we can notice that there are two colors in the spinal cord. We call this area the gray matter, while this area, the light area, is called the white matter. So this is the white matter here, and this is the gray matter in the spinal cord. Now, why are there difference in the color? Basically because the gray matter is where the cell bodies of the neurons, or the nerve cells that we're going to study, they accumulate in this area. That's why its color is dark, it's gray, while the axons and the filaments of these neurons are in this area. That's why it is light in color, and it's called the white matter. Now, the gray matter in the spinal cord is divided into two areas. We call them the posterior horns of the gray matter. They are like horns. And here, these two are called the anterior horns of the gray matter. Of course, this side is called, as we said, the posterior or dorsal groove. And opposite to it is the anterior or ventral groove of the spinal cord. In the middle here we have a canal which is called the ependymal canal. Inside it there is the liquid that passes inside the spinal cord. It's very important. And so these are the main parts of the spinal cord. And now let's discover the nerve cell or the neuron, which is the basic unit of the nervous system. We'll see what is it made of. If we see here the real image of some neurons taken from a human, for example, we see it's like a wire, and it has many extensions going out of it. This is another real image seen under the microscope of the neurons. All the neurons have a certain body inside them. Okay, this is called the cell body. We'll see the parts of the neuron. Look here, there's a star-shaped head and a filament. Okay, just like this. Here we see this is called the cell body, which is just like any cell. It has all the parts of the cell: nucleus, cytoplasm, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, all the parts of the cell in order to function normally. We have an extension here called the axon. Okay, and from the cell body we have extensions called dendrites. They receive the nervous messages and take them this way. So if you want to look at the direction of the nervous message, it always goes this way. Okay, starting from the dendrites, they enter to the cell body, then move all the way through the axon, and finally in the axon terminals. Okay, and we notice that the axon is covered by certain isolating material, which is called the myelin sheath. It's made of lipids, and it's produced in cells here called Schwann cells. Now we notice also that the myelin sheath does not cover all the axon. Sometimes there are areas that are not covered. These areas are called nodes of Ranvier, and this way of covering the axon is very helpful for the transmission of the nervous message. It makes it quicker because the nervous message starts to jump like this, between the nodes and moves faster. So if we want to review the structure of the neuron, we see first the cell body. Here's the cell body and the nucleus of the cell body. Here are the dendrites. Okay, this is the axon, and as we said, these are the Schwann cells that make the myelin sheath which covers the axon. Here is the node of Ranvier. All these are nodes of Ranvier. And finally, we have the axon terminals at which new neurons or nerve cells start. The dendrites of new cells start from here and are separated by a space called synapse, which we're going to learn about later on. So this is the structure of the neuron. Now we learned about the neuron or the nerve cell, which is the basic unit of the nervous system. But as we know, there are levels of organization. A group of cells makes a tissue, a group of tissues make an organ. So let's talk about the nerve, which is a group of nerve cells. The structure of the nerve is very special. As we see here, this is the cross-section of a nerve seen under the microscope. They are made of bundles of nerve fibers, as we see here. Look at the bundles. Each bundle is a group of nerve fibers. These inside are the nerve fibers. Another picture is this. This is a transverse section of a nerve. Notice the nerve fibers. Now the nerve fibers, they are made of what? They are the axon and the myelin sheath. So each nerve fiber is an axon covered with the myelin sheath. And group of nerve fibers, many groups, many bundles of nerve fibers make the nerve. As we see here, this is a nerve. The nerve is a bundle of nerve fibers, many bundles. And if we take each nerve fiber alone, it's an axon covered by the myelin sheath. So this is the structure of a nerve. Now let's study the types of neuron. Now pay attention here that the neurons can be classified into groups according to their function or to their structure. First of all, according to their function, we have three types of neurons. The first one is called the sensory neuron, which carries nervous messages from the receptor to the central nervous system. Okay, so this is the sensory neuron. The second type is the motor neuron, which carries the nervous message from the central nervous system to the effector organ in order to carry out the command given by the spinal cord or the brain. And finally, the interneuron, which has the role to link between the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. Now let's talk about the types of neurons, but according to their structure and not function. First of all, we have these three main types of neurons. As we see here under the microscope, we have three different structures. The first structure, as we see, is made the cell body. Here we see a cell body and one extension coming out of it, only one process, and this extension can be branched into two parts, through branches, but there is only one extension. That's why this type is called unipolar. Uni means one, so we have one pole or one extension coming out of the cell body. This type of cell neuron has no dendrites. There are no dendrites. One branch receives the nervous message and the other carries it to another neuron. Okay, so this is called unipolar. This is a diagram of a unipolar neuron. One cell body, no dendrites, one extension, can be branched into two branches. The other type, as we see, here is the cell body at the center, but we notice here that there are two extensions coming out of the cell body, two processes or two poles. That's why it's called a bipolar. Bi means two. Okay, one of these extensions is the dendrite, so it's one dendrite only, and the other is the axon, one axon. So this diagram here, we have this dendrite, or what receives the sensation, the sensory receptor here. Okay, and here is the axon, and both are covered with myelin sheath, as we said before. So this is the bipolar. Now let's go to the third type, which is the mostly found type of neurons in the body. We see here the cell body. We have many extensions going out of the cell body. Look here, there's the one axon and many dendrites. So we have many extensions or processes or poles. That's why it's called a multipolar. Multi means many. So there are many extensions. And as we see in the diagram, we have this cell body, we have many dendrites going out of it, and the axon, as we said earlier. So these dendrites carry in the nervous message, many dendrites, it can take the message from several neurons into the cell body, then the axon. So these are the three types of neurons according to their function. So if we want to sum up the types of neurons according to their structure, we have three types. The first type is unipolar, the second is bipolar, the third is multipolar. The unipolar has one elongated process and it has this shape, for example, only one extension and can be branched into two. The bipolar has two processes separated by the cell body. One of them is the dendrite and the other is the axon, while the multipolar has more than one or two processes, many extensions, more than one dendrite and only one axon. Here we reach the end of our lesson. I hope it was easy and clear. Thanks for watching and don't forget to come back for new videos. Goodbye.